So we have server 38 here. Let me zoom. And that we'll probably still use it some, but there's also there's a local SQL Express, and you can do // Express. I don't know. They probably each has a different number here.
So we need to go to.
Yeah, so you got the room number. So we want the SQL Express.
Okay.
This is the local instance. So when I connect, all right, I may have some databases here. Do I? I do, and I should probably delete them because I downloaded them all locally. You probably have nothing, right? Go ahead and do the SQL Express. Again, you can always do // Express. What the / is for is it's basically a relative path, right? And the absolute path is your machine name / SQL Express. So let me.
I don't have a SQL expression to access.
Well, just type it in. Just type it in. Just //
Backslash.
Other way.
The other way.
SQL Express.
Correct.
Okay. It doesn't matter. I am going to. So we need Community Assist and Metro Alt. I'm going to delete them. I'll add them again.
Oh, it's not connecting. SQLX.
Let me look in just a moment.
Yours connect.
Yes.
Yeah.
You think that should be all right.
Did you click the connect button?
Yeah. Come on.
That looks right. It should connect.
No. I just have the authority.
You want Windows authentication. Does anyone else having trouble connecting? No, you guys connected just fine. Right?
When we edit the arrow.
Okay, I'll look in just a second. I'm going to delete Metro Alt too.
Network was an instance specific error.
You guys.
I think you should have restart it.
So database instance, SQL Express, Windows authentication. Why would it give you problems? Well, let me do that. That's weird.
Hey, Pikachu.
Here's the SQL server is stopped. I have no idea.
Yeah.
What? Well, no,
Shut off.
the SQL server was stopped. Yeah. Yeah, so you don't have to do it. If you're working on your laptop, you actually don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, no problem. No pause.
So I'm starting the service. If you ever get a thing that the service can't find the service and you know you've typed everything right.
Computer. Request for. Yeah.
Why won't it
Look why
stop?
it stopped because it cannot.
That's weird that it's not.
No.
Let me do the rest of this and then I'll come back and help you get set up.
Sure. No problem.
Why is that? You may mean restarting the machine.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So those are gone. Let me see. I'm going to go one other thing. I just want to make sure the files are gone as well. So I'm going to go to local disk C, program files, Microsoft, SQL Server, Express, MSQL, data, continue, and they're gone. Okay, that's good. Okay, so are we ready to go to let's get Metro Alt installed, and then we'll do Community Assist. And then I'll talk about isolation a bit, and then I'll give you some Open Lab, and then we'll start actually the objects on Monday. You guys have been pretty good when I do the lectures on Wednesday and coming back and sort of remembering what I talked about. But the other, I was thinking in the 172, there were a few people that were just drawing blanks. We did it on Thursday. Yeah, they did it on Thursday, and by Tuesday it was gone.
It helps because it's open and you're there, like we can work.
Yeah.
And you help us a lot too.
Should we see the book review? And
No, you don't have those.
Okay.
And I just deleted a couple of others because I was testing to see if I could install locally. All right, so the first one, Community Assist, is pretty easy. So let's do it first. We just need to go to, the address will be GitHub. So HTTPS, it'll add the S, but www, actually no www, it's just GitHub, right? .com/spconger. You want to go just github.com/spconger. Is it not going? So what we want here is, and I think it's on the first page, is the database schema.
Yeah.
And we want the Community Assist. And this is a little bit different still than the one, I'm going to do the Community Assist SQL, _SQL. I have modified it slightly since the one I put on the server. So it is a tiny bit different. It's more logical, but it may. Anyway, you want to look at it raw. If you try to copy it when it's not raw, you get all the line numbers and you get a lot of GitHub stuff. Right? So if you do it raw, it just gives you this text. I'm just going to do Control-A, Control-C. And I'm going to go down to SQL Server. I'm going to do a new query. I'm going to paste it.
Which one did you pull out?
Community_assist.
Okay.
And this will be the real test if you guys have the permissions to do this. Anyway, I don't need to go to the top, but I always feel better if I go to the top. So I'm going to execute this, and you should get just rows affected.
Permission denied.
Oh, you guys don't have permission. Damn it.
So you just,
Why don't you do it on all our machines?
That's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many.
I remember I had this one last quarter, and I did database schema.
Well, yeah, this
Full
is,
machine, I mean, full. This machine and my
Mission
own machine.
denied up one side and down the other.
Yes.
100% denied.
So I still can use this data.
yeah, I mean, do you want me to, this will take a while, because I'll have to log into every machine.
Yeah. And
Did you get
I have it on my personal machine, so it's not totally necessary. I just don't have it in class today.
Well, as I said, the issue is when we start doing the I wonder. No, I'm not sure where the Let's look at, I'm going to look at something real quickly. So SEC, IT, I wonder if I can change the permissions. Actually, that's not necessarily what I want, but I want to look at the properties for this. I have sysadmin using nothing securable. See that I can do this. I'm going to try this real quickly. Do I remember what server it is? No, actually, it would be 35. No, I think it'd be this one. Let's try this one. If this fails, I'll come around to the machines. That's my server. All right, so that's my machine. I don't want to see my machine. Let's minimize this and then maximize. Okay, that's the right one. I don't see SQL Server. Did I get on the wrong one?
The wrong server.
Yeah. It's not showing. I think I got on the wrong server. So what is the server? I guess let me, rather than spend the next hour figuring this out, let me come around and log in on yours. So that was 31 I did. I'll try one more. I have a vague memory of 38. No, 38 is,
That's the one that we.
that actually is probably right though. That actually makes sense. Having trouble with my password. Not sure I want it to be in Zoom for all of this, but that's all right. This is the networking kind of stuff. That's not my favorite, but it actually is an essential part of database, you know, handling how it is on the. Okay, so those are still. That's still mine. I don't want mine. There we go. So I should be able to just do SQL. Okay. So if I do this on, well, it's still, it's the wrong. This isn't the right place. This will just give me permissions for this server, which we've already got. So I think I'm going to just come around and, well, if you can't create the database, I wonder if you can create anything else. If you log in as me, you obviously can. Let me do it on one machine, and then we will I have an idea. Who wants to have their machine go first? Whichever one. You are just
Call it. Call it.
So I'm going to log out.
No, it's fine.
One nice thing about SQL Server.
Yeah, this way I don't forget it, because.
Yeah, no, my final don't get because I
Yeah.
always forget.
The cat helps me remember that it's plugged into the computer, so I don't forget the thing. I just wanted one that looked like completely different from everybody else's.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody seems to steal it.
Yeah, in a sense. But no, yeah. My car, somebody.
Password. I could change that. I could change my password after.
It has to set up a new profile every time.
Yeah, I don't know. The profile's not stored on the server, but it still remembers. It does this every time we change machines, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got my card things broken, they smashed the little tiny window in the back, which is oddly enough the expensive window. Like,
If
it's
I
more
can get this
expensive
to
than the
work,
little
I
door
might
window.
share
The
my
tiny-
passwords if we
Yeah,
do it.
the tiny window.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If I redo it,
Smash,
yeah.
they smash a little tiny window. And then by a lot. Yeah.
You asked me, you shouldn't ask me.
So they
But
got that one.
it's, you're
And
also
then they
saying
stole
that protocol.
the spare change.
I'm sorry, that was really annoying.
Yeah,
Teacher, I
out of
can't
my-
help it, I'm annoyed, like.
Yeah,
It's
but-
probably eliminating biggest threat by doing.
Ashtray, they took all the spare change away.
I'm
Just
just-
like pulled the entire ashtray
I
out,
go in there.
ripped it out.
Actually, it
And then
was,
they rifled
It's okay, we're-
my glove compartment, but there's nothing in there.
So what I'm going to do first,
My problem is there's a little light there.
rather than install this, I'm gonna try to give you permissions to install.
Permissions on this box.
On this
No.
one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other one, even, like mine is
Oh,
multiple,
Mhm.
so easy.
Never?
Sounds like a big deal.
I'm gonna try to give permissions to install
Those are two guys.
databases, and then if that works, then instead of installing for you, I'll just give permission.
Wait, how would you say? Is it freaking chapstick?
on computers that your password and.
Why? So annoying.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't have much see that.
Okay.
They didn't know. I had a problem.
Maybe think about what they've done.
I'm going to do that server in the release.
Oh my gosh.
Is that one? He was cool. I mean, everyone.
Right.
All right, so that answers that question.
That's the advantage of having a tape player, like, they're not gonna steal that.
Yeah. And then they took some of the time.
Is it not going to have it? Well, I don't know. I think we may have to use the other server unless I can get David in here. Let me. He's gonna stick for a week.
My card is really
If
easy
you're
to tape
to
that.
log into everybody's computer,
Yeah,
then
it's
you
working.
have to
The
go
91 Honda Accord.
should
My
everybody
card is
store the,
practically correct.
Oh, the files.
so you can go and copy it.
Let me try to install.
Really bad Mother's Day week.
Yeah.
Questions on the portals,
I
right?
think from the guy got no.
Well, no, I mean, he pushed the permission. It's not giving me permission to change.
And
it.
she's
Okay, after he's here.
in that week.
Right.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it as I said for like a week.
Alright.
I'm going to real quickly just do, this is an experiment.
Still happy, right?
I'm just gonna do the community assist script. And then I'm gonna have you log back in and see if you can do it. So I'm gonna do, community assist.
The girlfriend,
Oh, okay, all right, such a thoughtful gift. Oh, man.
Oh, no, don't have permission. Is my permission only on that box? But I logged into this box. No, I think
because
it's.
never is not the deal. My car is not. People kind of thing.
I tried to change, let's try to change this one. Oh, I actually did. So I think it's just not gonna work.
I would have that part of
So-
the pack data, I don't have data to. Machine. I don't know.
Local one here.
Okay.
I think what we'll have to do, I will talk to David and we might be able to set this up next time. But I think what we're going to have to do is when we do, I may adjust the assignment a little bit because I think we're going to have to make like copies of the table to work with. It's going to be a mess, but I think we can make it work.
To avoid that would have benefited, so we need to take it from this side,
Well,
because it's,
we'll see. I mean, I don't want to wait forever. So I'll see if it happens before Monday or Tuesday. Yeah.
I want to know this lecture, is it just for create another copy data?
So what I wanted to do is to set it up so that it works better when we do the next assignment, because we're going to have to create stored procedures and triggers and functions. And databases are usually unhappy if you have multiples of the same name accessing the same tables.
Why we cannot use the same connect?
Well, that's the thing is that everybody's using the same database. So to have a dozen triggers on the same table is just insane.
No chicken.
So we'll adjust it. We'll just make copies of the tables. You know kind of how to do that. You just create a new table and copy everything over.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just do
Okay.
copies of the tables. All right, so that was a waste of time probably.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to do, and I'm going to make a new query on this. So I think what I'll do is I will reconnect to server 38.
Which is not like it. Because I connect the other one.
And I'll just go back to server 38. I'll kill this query. So I seem to have those permissions, but literally only on this machine, which is kind of odd. So he gave the permissions not to the user, but to sconger, right? So I thought he gave them to the SEC IT. There's a SQL user group that all of you belong to. And I thought that it was on that. It's possible. I do have one other place I could change it, but let me not do it right away. What?
Whatever you need.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to set it up differently in the directory. I'm not sure if there's anything I could do to make it. Because I don't think the Active Directory actually has any SQL permissions. They have to be set in SQL, not in Active Directory. So the things that I was going to talk about, and I'll partially just write them up here. This is for, if you have the book, this is in chapter 9. And I'm not actually doing anything with this, although it is relevant for what we're doing next. All right, so this is just an overview. And then, as I said, I'll try to end in 15, 20 minutes so that you can have some time to work. So this is about transactions and concurrency. And we talked a little bit at the beginning, right, about transactions. Anybody have a good idea of what transactions are?
From this unit change to the other unit. Is that right?
Well, kind of. So whenever you do a select statement, whenever you do a thing, there's an implicit transaction. Implicit transactions means that it basically it just does the transaction. It begins it and commits it when you press, the execute. And then there's explicit transactions. And this we'll be using, right? So I'm going to do, and this actually gets towards some of the next. We did, remember we did begin tran? And then we did some exercises, like we could do update our table, let's say update employee.
So we don't need the use table.
Well, yeah, we'll need to,
immediate.
we need to use Metro Alt, which I'm not, so I'm going to cheat. Oops, that's MSDB. There we go. So I'm going to update employee, and you have to use DBO employee, right? What? So go back to server 38. So I'm going to set last name equal, anybody have a last name we want to change? It's employee last name, by the way. Hoffman, okay. I have relatives that are Hoffmans, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they scientists?
No, just German.
Yeah.
We'll say where employee key equals 1. Okay. So if I were to run this, so actually let's begin the trend. So I'm going to execute. That begins the transaction. If I were to execute this, it would say run row affected, but it actually hasn't been affected yet. If I do select, now, and I'll show you a couple of things here, but if I do select star from employee, it'll show the first employee's name, last name is now Hoffman. Okay. If I want that to be the case, I could, I could execute the, commit the trend, or if I don't want it to be the case, I can roll back the trend. So this is an explicit transaction where you're doing this, right? These are really useful for things like updates, as I showed you before, because if you totally screw up, you have a chance for an update. The bad thing about this is, why don't one of you, when I'm in the middle of an update with a beginning trend, can you see the employee? You guys, when you do a select, do you get the employee? Or if you just do another query window.
It keeps getting stuck on executing
Yeah,
query.
mine as well.
Right, it shouldn't allow you to. I mean, if you try to do just select. It hangs, right?
Yeah.
And it should hang.
But even though it's select, it didn't say one for,
Right, select the,
or update, excuse me.
right. So it's not going to let you guys do it because I began the transaction and I began it first. I have locked this record. You cannot access this record. Right? So until I commit or roll back, you can't do anything with this record.
So while it's being updated, it can't be changed in any other location.
Right. No. So it doesn't. You can't. The inherent logic, and there are things you can do to change it, but this is the most rational one. It's basically that only one person can change the data at a time, because say 3 people were trying to change it all at once. Who has priority?
Admin.
What?
Admin, right?
Actually, so you could write a script to try to determine that, but the better route is probably just not to let multiple people update it all at once.
What about? Okay, I think you just answered my question.
What about what?
The 2 updates. So before we were doing one person updating, and then we tried to select it, but 2 people are trying to update.
If 2 people are, so yeah, basically you're all locked up, right? So if I want to, and this is, by the way, this Hoffman is what you call a dirty read, right? It's not committed to the database yet. This Hoffman is not in the database yet. It's in the temp 2. It's being held in suspension until this transaction is finished.
But you're the only person.
I'm the only person that can see it, right? So it's not a, and it's really useful here because I can look and see if I made a horrible mistake.
And then you use rollback if you did.
Yeah, so if we want to go back, we could do a rollback. I don't care for last name's Hoffman. We could leave it. If I don't want to roll it back, I can do commit. Although commit trend. But before I do that, there's a, might have to look this up, see if I can do it. Yeah, this would tell me how many transactions are in process.
2 ads or?
It is 2 ads.
Okay.
Sure. No, I won't let you. You're locked out.
Because of you.
Because of, yeah, that's why it won't work. Yeah.
So did you use master or?
No, and I'm using Metro Alt. I'm going to execute that line, and notice it has one transaction is pending. That's what that tran can't function. This is a lot of built-in variables have a double app. So what this is saying is that there's one transaction pending. So if I commit the transaction, okay, so it's committed. Now everybody can, actually if you try to update it, one person will be allowed to update it, and it'll be locked again. And but if I submit the tran count, it should be 0. Yeah, because there's no trans pending. But you could see, this is a good thing for concurrency, actually. Let me bring this down a little. If I do an explicit begin tran, and I take my time, a lot of people could be frustrated because you're all locked out for that record until I'm done. But I do use these begin trans a lot. You know, we will use them in a, my brain is gone, in a stored procedure. Because the stored procedure processes really quickly. This explicit transaction isn't going to lock for very long in a stored procedure. I mean, they'll process in milliseconds generally. I'm going to show you, this won't be a stored procedure, but if you wanted in code to determine whether or not this transaction should roll back or commit, I'll show you a way you could do that. I'm trying to think of, I'm going to switch to community assist for this.
What do you mean by if it should roll back or commit? It's going to take the commands either way. It doesn't really have an opinion, right? Or is it?
But you can make it decide whether it's going to roll back or commit. Based on a try catch. Do you guys know try catches?
Yeah. So it basically means
if there's an error, roll back.
Okay.
You could also do, like with an update, I suppose you could say if count greater than 1. You know, if row count greater than 1, roll back. I'm going to do an insert, though, I think, for this. Going to use community assist. Mostly I'm using community assist because I can't remember. Why does it not like that?
Yeah, it's not in there.
It's not on server 38. It should be.
It is. It is. It's right there.
But it does not come up.
Did I delete community assist?
Well, you deleted it from your local.
Yeah, I know. I deleted it from the local. I shouldn't have deleted it from here.
Is it on the server or is it?
Yeah, it's deleted.
On your local?
Correct.
How did I delete it?
Do you remember before you deleted it from your local to see if you could reinstall it?
Right, but that shouldn't have installed it. I shouldn't have deleted it from here.
Because it's a different server.
Yeah.
Here's the SQL expression, not server 38.
All right, well, I can do that. Here we go again. It's still there.
Do it again.
Query. Okay. It's a nice thing about saving them as a script. Did I kill the wrong query?
Yeah.
Well, you guys can't run it. Yeah, you guys can't come. I killed my query. That's all right. I just want to kill this. I don't want to save it. No. But I killed the other query too, which I didn't mean to do. So community assist should be there now. Use community assist. Execute. Okay. So I'm going to begin a tran. All right, and then I'm going to.
I'm getting an error not able to use the current security context.
Let me change one other thing. I think I did this before. Let's go on the view. Let's go to, oops. Properties. You guys don't do this. Come on, give me the properties. How did I delete it on the server? I obviously have permissions. This is the kind of thing that as a database administrator
I
getting
just bring
fired.
it. It's okay.
So what I'm going to do, I think because I deleted it, I need to permissions on Community Assist. And I'm going to give you, which is actually a problem because one of you could have deleted it too, I suppose, but now you can't. You shouldn't have permission errors now when you do use Community Assist. So you're learning a lot about just maintaining things like security and things. So basically the user had to have permissions in Community Assist, which went away when I deleted it. All right, so I'm going to begin a transaction. And what I want to do is I'm going to do like I'm actually going to, well, first I'll just do this. I'll do an insert into person. And I'm not going to do, I just want to look and see what fields I want to put into person. Do the hashed password or any of that. So we're going to go into person, columns. You might want to change the name a little bit. And first name, email. Maybe entry date. Actually, I don't think I even have to do that. I think it has. No, it doesn't. Insert into person. So I'm going to do last name, first name. I'll just break this down. Email. I'm not feeling like typing. And we'll do their entry date. Okay. So I'm going to do values, and what do we want to do? So we need a last name. Anybody have a good last name? SquarePants. Okay, we could do SpongeBob.
Difference.
A different SquarePants? Like whom?
Maybe SpongeBob, like, you can say like,
We could do more than one, I guess. But
SpongeBob.
yeah. You can actually, so again, I'm not sure you want to do the same ones as me. You can. I get, they'll all have unique IDs.
Different column names or different values?
No, do the same column names.
Okay.
You could actually do, I mean, we're just going to have a lot of Sponge Buddy SquarePants. Actually, what is the name? It's the town. Bikini Bottom.
That's what the town is called, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
They're mutants resulting from the nuclear tests. Off of the bikini.
Oh,
Maybe. That's one fan theory.
the old SpongeBobs are fun, actually.
I don't think they have new.
They're still doing them. I
Never
think.
mind what it says, get date.
Get date just gives a date.
Okay.
So we got SquarePants, Sponge Buddy, Sponge.
Just any date.
It gives you the current date.
Okay. Oh.
What does it not like about that insert? Oh, I forgot a comma here. All right, so now I'm going to insert into So I'm going to insert into, say, person address. So let me look at person address, what fields I want to get from there. So we'll do they're all pretty nullable, which is good. So let's skip apartment. We'll do person address street. We'll do the city. We can put Bikini Bottom in there again. And state, I have no idea what state that would be. And zip. Okay, the other thing that we need, we do need the person key. So I'll put that at the last, person key, because that ties it together, right? One of the things that I'm doing here is that it's fairly typical. Do you want me to unzoom? So I'm going to do values. I have no idea. He lives in a pineapple, right?
Yes.
Pineapple Lane. City is Bikini Bottom. State, yeah, except that you're limited to 2 characters.
SE.
Zip. I don't know. And then the person key, what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to do, I think I showed you this, current, spelled right, ident. Why does it not like that? Current timestamp, current user, current ident. Doesn't like that. Oh, I know why. Ident current. Type current. Okay. And person. Did I show you guys that ident current? It's a function that returns the most recently generated auto number from whatever table you put in here. It only works if there's auto numbers. Okay. This is probably enough. I mean, we could do another insert into person contact, which would be the phone numbers. Let's do that actually, because I can. So I'm going to insert into person contact. We're going to have so much garbage in this database. Contact. And the fields for person contact that I will do are, actually they're just called contact here. I changed the name. So we need the contact number. And the contact type key. I'm putting this in partially because I can cause an error. I want to cause an error the second time we go through it up to first key. And in the values, so whatever you want for a phone. And then the contact type key, I'm going to just do 1. Again, I'm going to do the ident current. Okay. So,
What is this ident?
ident current returns the most recently generated auto number from the table that you put in here. So the table person. Because we don't know what the person key is until the person's been inserted, right? I'm going to zoom here so that you can see more of it.
person is the square pants.
Yes. So if we go up here, lower this too, because I want to kind of show the, so we're beginning a transaction. We haven't started anything yet. This is just, we're doing 3 inserts for one person. Now, part of what you want to hear is something I call atomicity. Have you ever heard of that term with databases? It means basically you want all of these to happen or none of it. So if it fails at some point, particularly if it failed up here, you don't want to do the other inserts. So you want all 3 of these to happen or none of them to happen. Okay, that's atomicity. So in a stored procedure, I mean, basically we're kind of doing that. We got a begin tran. We will want a commit tran, but we want to know whether or not, oh, I need one more parentheses there. We want to know whether it occurred right or not. So I am going to put, this is giving you a preview of what we'll be doing in stored procedures. I'm going to do a try. Actually, I'm going to do a begin try.
We have to try. Only try. SQ or not SQ.
It is SQL. This is, have you ever, you should have been coding?
I got it.
Okay.
Try.
Which
means
coding
not
class
doing.
would have told us to do that?
Just
Could every
Object
language
one.
out there
Yeah.
does them?
Okay,
All of
because 110 was kind of a shit show.
Yeah. So try, it says it's going to try this code.
Okay.
And then at the end of that, you have a catch. And what the catch does is it catches errors. And you can do this in, I mean, literally any language I can think of except JavaScript. I don't know if JavaScript has try catches. It may have. I just don't know if they do.
I don't see
Like,
it.
called a catch.
Yeah, so we haven't done that yet. So way at the bottom of this, I'm going to do, it still doesn't like something there.
But it still works.
Yeah, try catch in JavaScript. Do they? Okay, thanks. So I'm going to do commit tran. And then I'm going to do begin. So we'll do in try. And then we'll do begin catch. And inside the catch, we'll do rollback tran. And I will try, let's see if we can do print, it's error message and end catch. Now, one of the things, and this will get to be really annoying, in SQL, rather than curly braces, you have these begin and ends.
Yeah.
Which is more verbally clear, but when you have a begin this, begin that, begin, you know, embedded things, we have multiple begins. So I have like begin tran, begin try. So this begins the transaction. This begins the try. The try will go through all this code. If it doesn't encounter any errors, it will commit, and that's it. It's done, right? If at any point it encounters an error, it will go to the catch, and it will roll back the transaction, and it will print the error message. Does that make sense? I'm curious, is there a unique constraint on the It would be on the email. Yeah, email is unique. So if you guys do exactly what I did, it will fail because sponge at bikinibottom.com is not, you can only have that once. I'm going to run the whole thing, and as long as nobody's run it ahead of me,
Just go up to the last part.
yeah, just a sec.
So only one one time or can be.
Right, only one person right there.
Yeah, thank you.
So somebody already did it, I think.
Uh,
Well, it says it inserted with the foreign key constraint. Did anybody else get that error?
I don't
I got error
have,
in my hand.
but I asked for each block before I run the whole
So
thing.
that actually did what it's supposed to do. It went to the catch. But let's do select star from person. Which table was it in the? It was in the table person. So SquarePants is in there. Somebody did Sponge at Hotmail. That should be the last. There's only one person that has it in, but actually the key shouldn't conflict. It should just add a new key. Apple Lane Bikini.
I saw. Yeah.
So one person got through. Oh, it's just contact now.
She's been identity
Somebody did
correct.
it before
Okay.
this class.
No, I mean somebody did it. This didn't go through. Well, it did, but no number. Well, no one.
Yeah.
Person key. No, it didn't go through. Whoever did it, the
Red pen. On the Hotmail.
1, 2, 3 plus 5. So 1, 2, 3.
that looks okay. Why is it giving me no?
Values. Number of numbers. 3, 6, 9, 10. 3, 6, 9, 10. And a single number. Ident. Current.
Current person should work. Although it's actually up here.
It's here.
Yeah, I think it's because you have a closed current.
So comma instead.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It did actually what it's supposed to do anyway. It errored out. And when it did the error, it just went to the error message and it rolled back the transaction. And it should roll it. It should fail again probably. But this is the problem with everybody running at once, right? Rollback transaction. Request has no begin tran.
Highlight.
Did I not begin? Oh, I forgot it. Three SpongeBobs. So now it's the email that won't go through.
Why not?
Because emails have to be unique. So somebody did my email.
Because it's just type
That's
stuff.
fine. That's actually what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
But mine has no arrow. It say I cannot insert duplicate key.
Right, that's the error. Cannot insert duplicate key. So basically it's saying the person already exists.
Based on the key.
Yeah, and it's the key, it treats the unique constraints as keys, even though they're not officially keys,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's the gist. I mean, I've talked longer than I wanted to. There's other things about concurrency, which I might save for next time before we start. This is key, because when we do our stored procedures, we're going to have this kind of structure embedded in it where we explicitly begin the transaction, and then you begin to try to test the code. And then if the error, if there's an error, then you go into the catch. Now, some things that you might want to catch are not necessarily errors, right? Because we're counting on it being a system error. So you can create your own errors if you need to.
So you would use the try or the begin and commit trans on like a write heavy situation where you
Yes.
have a bunch of people like entering their information into
Right, and it
form.
needs to go into multiple tables, and you want it all to go or none to go, right? So that's one of the things, and you might also use it for like an update. Although, see there, it may, if you changed everybody's name to Smith, it wouldn't cause an error. But typically, like in a stored procedure, you can have parameters entered. So you'd have to have them enter their parameters, right? So maybe all the values for the fields, or at least their key field, which could come from like a session variable or something. So you would always have a where attached to the. But you could also, if you really wanted to, create an error that said if the count is greater than 1 for a table rollback. So there are things you can do with this stuff to make your stuff safer. And as I said, I think we'll start the things on Monday. This was about transactions. Atomicity was one of the first things there, and that's basically all or nothing. It all has to happen or nothing. Consistency, right? It needs to be consistent to all viewers, and there's all sorts of different views of that. This is in the book. Isolation means that your transaction should happen separate from other transactions. Each transaction should be its own thing. And durability, it should persist in the database. Those are common principles. And then it has a lot about locks. We looked at a little tiny bit of locking. But you can lock at different levels, and then you can manually set locks, and you can manually set how isolated your thing is. I will talk a little bit more about it, but there's no assignments for that. I talked a lot more today than I wanted to, and a lot of it was just troubleshooting things. So I'm leaving you like a half hour. I will give you some time. Most of you are doing pretty good in terms of time. We will, I think, even though we've got how many weeks left? 4?
3 weeks.
I think we have plenty of time. I think the last week or two, last week anyway, will be open lab pretty much just to type things up. And I'll talk to David to see if we can get permissions on the local machine. I think if he can give it, if he could just give the SQL users account those permissions, then we might be able to use it. Otherwise, I will think about how to set up the, as I said, I think the main thing is we'll have to just make copies of the tables to do our things.
Or if you CP plus the video, it's possible to just do it on my own machine.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, it's not an issue at home or on your own machine. Yeah. If you have a laptop or if you have this at home, it's not an issue at all. But to do it together in class or on the classroom machines could be a bit of a mess.
So do you have time to show my
Yeah, just a second. Let me kill the video here. I'm not even sure this video is worth watching, but it's there.